It looks like walking on a beach with horses. That's where you should be. This is going to be a nice short live for those people who would never click on a 2-hour live. If you want your questions answered during a live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I do a video that lasts as long as the questions do. Cash flow. A decade to reach financial freedom. I wasn't in a good starting position when I began. I didn't think about money until I was 40. I was a single parent with 3 kids, got laid off from law enforcement because of the 2008 housing crash. Started teaching at a CDL school, making $17 an hour, and found out about $89,000 in bad debt in my name I didn't know existed until the divorce. How you like them apples? I started saving, and a lender told me about a way to get around my bad debt to income ratio. So I moved from my house into an apartment and rented out the house. So what does year 1 look like there? Living in an apartment, renting out the house. Being the genius that I am, I lost $6,000. That was my cash flow in year 1. Not great. How many times can you repeat that when you're making $17 an hour to reach financial freedom? But I started educating myself. Year 2, the house started to make around $400 a month. Now, this is a house that I had owned for over a decade because I purchased it before I was an investor. And owning a single family house in my market for a decade should mean that it cash flows. But they don't when you buy them right off the MLS, like all my other properties I did. So year 1, I lose $6,000, great cash flow. Year 2, I'm making about $400 a month, but I'm also working overtime, playing World of Warcraft as a side hustle to, save and invest more money. At the end of year 2, 2 things happen. The first one is I have 2 years of rental income on my tax returns, which basically fixed my debt to income problem. Then the second thing that happened is I had enough money saved to do a down payment on an owner-occupied duplex, and I purchased a duplex, moved into one side, rented out the other. It didn't cash flow. It actually cost me $300 a month to live there. But the apartment that I was living in was costing me $1,500 a month. So now, without increasing cash flow by buying the duplex, I'm saving $1,200 more a month. Apartment was $1,500, now I'm paying $300, $1,200 difference. I'm actually saving a bit more because you have to earn more to pay the $1,500 because you have taxes, which are great on your W-2 income. So then, year 3, I'm paying to live in the duplex. House is still cash flowing around $400 a month. I hadn't learned the binder strategy yet. Things weren't going great. But I had a consistent tenant in there. And I saved. So I'm 3 years in. I've purchased 1 property. Yay. And I'm making a whopping $400 a month in cash flow in year 3. But I'm saving because of the house hack. Year 4 continues the same. I learned the binder strategy. The house starts to make more money, and I buy at the end of year 4, my second duplex as an actual investment, not a house hack. It actually cash flowed when I purchased it. So now I'm making probably around $400 a unit. So that's $800 a side. The house is still making $400, but I learned the binder strategy, and it starts to make more. So at the end of year 4, I'm making around $1,000 a month. I wasn't raising the rent on tenants because I hadn't learned the binder strategy yet, and I had some tenants in place where I had value add opportunities, like I could add a closet to make a bedroom out of a den. I could add a wall to make a bedroom out of a family room that had a closet. I could do these things, but I didn't have the tenant turnover, and I wasn't going to kick tenants out to do it. So my cash flow didn't increase very much in year 4. In year 5, so now I have a single family house cash flowing a little over $400 a month. I'm house hacking. I own a duplex. Just before year 6, I purchased another duplex. I'm still working a ton of overtime. I'm still playing my World of Warcraft game and selling things online for my side hustle. And I'm saving, and this is when I make a big blunder. So I'm about 6 years in. I'm making now around $1,500, $1,600 a month. I learned the binder strategy. I get that up to $2,200 a month. So at the end of year 6, $2,200 a month in cash flow. It took half a decade to get to a noticeable amount of cash flow. I'm still house hacking, And at this point, I'm probably living for free because the rent increases on the other side. But now, in year 6, I make a blunder. At the time, you were allowed to have 4 mortgages in your name, and I had 4 mortgages in my name. I didn't know about DSCR lending, asset-based, seller finance, portfolio loans, all these options out there that could have grown my portfolio. So I picked the Dave Ramsey method of the debt avalanche and the debt snowball, and I paid off my lowest mortgage, which was the single-family house, and it was also my highest interest rate. So because the low payment was $121,000, I funneled all cash flow, all income, all overtime, all side hustle money into paying off that mortgage, paid it off. It increased my cash flow about $500 a month. The mortgage was $1,088. Part of that is taxes and insurance and setting aside for repairs, maintenance, and vacancy. So I only added $500 a month to my cash flow by investing $121,000, which I could have done what I did in 2020. In 2020, and this is like year 7 now, I saved up enough to buy my second house hack, and I purchased a 4-plex. This is where the game really changed. I moved from the duplex into the 4-plex, and that let me rent out the unit that I was in. So it went from basically living for free to making $800 a month. And when I moved into the 4-plex, I was getting paid $1,700 a month to live there. Now, I could have done that instead of paying off the mortgage. How dumb am I? So I added $500 a month to my cash flow instead of $1,700 while living there. But I don't regret it. It was just a mistake, a blunder, and we learn from those and we move on. So then, in 2020, I empty out my retirement account so entering 2020 cash flow, it was $2,200. I paid off the house. That added $500, so now I'm making $2,700 a month at the beginning of 2020. Couldn't retire on that, but I could definitely live on it. I'm not touching anything from my work. My work money is being saved. I had stopped playing World of Warcraft at that time because I was focusing on rentals. And I buy the duplex, and I rent out the unit I was in. That's $800 a month. I get paid to live there. That's $1,700 a month. I add $2,500. I almost double my cash flow from $2,700 to $5,200. That didn't suck. Should have done the second house hack sooner. Should have not paid off the mortgage. Now I've got my landlord legs under me and I kind of feel like I have confidence and I know what I'm doing. I empty out my retirement account. Don't do that in the beginning. I did it because I knew what I was doing. I took my money, I paid the taxes, no problem. Uncle Sam gets their share. Retirement accounts suck. I purchased a triplex. That added a little over $2,000 a month to my cash flow. Those 3 units were cash flowing almost $700 a unit. Probably my best performing, best return, best purchase. It's a house with an ADU. The only reason I found it is I was searching for single family houses, which I've never purchased any as an investment. And it's a house with a duplex that's the ADU. That's how I got that triplex, because I had a search set up that I wouldn't have done if I was just looking, don't fall in there. As I was just looking for single family houses or small multifamily like most investors make the mistake of doing. So now we're talking over $7,000 a month in cash flow coming in at the end of year 8. But this is where magic happens. We have an eviction moratorium, we have a pandemic, we have a stock market crash. And for the first time ever, I use the binder strategy, which is where I get my tenants to ask me to raise the rent. It's the first time I've ever used the strategy on the same tenant a second time. Because of the eviction moratorium and the rent freeze, I went to all of the tenants in my portfolio, did the binder strategy again, had a pretty decent rent increase. This is when I got enough rentals to increase my reserves. Once I increased my reserves and felt confident, I reached out to all of my insurance companies and raised my deductible, which lowered my premium. So I drastically increased cash flow in 2020. And because I reduced expenses, binder strategy increased the rents. Then in 2021, I purchased another duplex, again, around $500 or $600 a unit. So that added another $1,000 plus a month to my cash flow. So at the end of 2021, I'm almost cracking the 10,000 mark. But then Washington State mentions rent control. So, rent control being threatened, and me thinking I might not be able to do a drastic increase in the future, I did the binder strategy for the third time with all existing tenants, and they understood. One of them binder strategied me before I got there, and my rents increased in 2021 with the new duplex, with the reduced expenses, me continuing to house hack. And this is where the exponential growth comes in, and I couldn't even quantify the numbers. And then in 2023, the numbers are so much. I've retired in 2022, no more W-2 income. If I game, I don't make money off of it. It's actually just a hobby. So I'm only living on rental income. Do I have side hustles anymore? I testify in a couple of cases every year, but that's a couple $1,000s. I make about $700 a month on YouTube. Totally live on that. But here's what the numbers look like today, just off the top of my head. There's a little over $38,000 in rents coming in now. There's about $10,000 a month in mortgages going out because expenses go up slightly, not as much as rents. Rent control forced my rents up again 7% this year because it's in effect. I wasn't going to do an increase, but it happened. I'll take the money. Sucks for the tenants. I feel bad for each one. I set aside about $5,700 a month now. That's 15% of gross rents for future expenses because things are going to break, leaving me with a bit over $22,000 a month to figure out how to spend it and where to go and how much time to ride the horse and how much time to be in the water and how much time to be at the resort. Tomorrow I head to Koh Tao and I'll be on an island for the next month. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. Extended my visa, which was very fun. Made a short video on that. I hope you have a day full of amazing. To get your questions answered, which I will look at all of the comments after the video. I will see you Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, which is in the morning for me here, and probably from an island next week. Have a day full of amazing. I know yours is just starting. Mine is wrapping up with this terrible sunset we're dealing with here. I mean, it's only 80 degrees out. I'm going to get back in the water. See you all in February at the One Rental at a Time event that Michael Zuber is putting together at the Center for the Blind on the 15th and 16th of February. Buy your tickets soon. He stopped selling tickets, I think, in like 6 days. You're going to get to see Jason Hartman, Pace Morby, the Three Amigos, Millennial Mike, all of us there, making sure your financial journey goes better than ours did.